He'll let opportunities fade so that you are free for better ones. That silence isn't absence, it is direction. It is God whispering, "You've learned what you needed here. It's time to move forward." And as you move, fear may come, loneliness may follow, doubt may rise. But every step away from what drains you is a step closer to what fulfills you. Every moment you choose faith over fear, you honor God's plan more than your own comfort. The truth is, that draining season wasn't designed to destroy you. It was designed to refine you. It stripped away arrogance. It taught you endurance. It made you rely on God instead of people. It sharpened your discernment. And now God says, you've learned all you needed from that struggle. You've matured enough in that pressure. You've endured long enough in that place. Now it is time to step forward. Because there is a version of you that can only appear after you release. The old version of you can't hold the new blessing. The weary version of you can't carry the next calling. That is why God is ending what exhausts you, so you can finally breathe freely again. And though it stings, one day you'll look back and understand that what you thought was breaking you was actually blessing you in disguise. You don't have to resist what God is finishing. You only have to trust that His purpose is far greater than your perception. The same God who lifted the burden will replace it with wings. If you are feeling overwhelmed, remember that support is available. Remember, you are not alone in this. Have you ever felt like you're losing something you thought you couldn't live without? A person, a job, a dream. It hurts, doesn't it? But what if I told you that every time you had to walk away from something that was damaging you, God was actually preparing you for what would strengthen you? Every single time someone exited your life, it wasn't rejection, it was realignment. God was reorganizing your story, clearing the path for the next phase of your destiny. I know you may have wept over what was gone, cried over what felt like a loss. How do you know when God is beginning to end a season in your life? The very first signal is discomfort. You start feeling unsettled in places that once felt so safe, so comfortable. You begin to sense a distance in connections that were once incredibly close. It is God's gentle whisper, His loving nudge, telling you that it's time to move forward. The same peace that once confirmed you were exactly where you needed to be now starts to fade, and you find yourself feeling uneasy, restless. God uses discomfort to shift you away from what no longer serves His incredible plan for you. You simply cannot build your next chapter in a place that no longer carries your purpose. And sometimes, the chapter that's draining you isn't about other people or external circumstances at all. It's about your own perspective. God might be closing the chapter of fear that has governed your life for far too long. He might be ending the chapter of doubt that made you settle for less than is absolute best for you. He could be shutting the door on the chapter of overthinking that made you constantly question His promises, or the chapter of trying to control outcomes that were never yours to command in the first place. God isn't just removing people or circumstances from your life. But God never called you to suffer endlessly in places He has already freed you from. Think about it this way. Some good things, even wonderful things, can turn into burdens simply because their season has expired. And when time runs out, no amount of effort, no amount of pushing or pulling can keep them alive. That's why it feels so heavy. You're trying to hold on to something that God is trying to release. You are resisting His flow. You're fighting against the current of His grace. Letting go feels like the hardest thing in the world, but holding on is what's truly exhausting you. The process of letting go isn't a single event, it's a journey. It starts with the recognition that something has shifted. It continues with the painful but necessary acceptance that you can't go back to the way things were. And it culminates in the courageous choice to trust that what God has planned for your future is infinitely better than what you are leaving behind. He sees the whole picture, the entire tapestry of your life. We only see the tangled threads on the back. We see the messy, confusing parts, but he sees the beautiful masterpiece he is weaving. Your identity is not tied to what you've lost. Your worth is not defined by who walked away. Your future is not limited by the chapters that have closed. There comes a time in every life when God says, "That is enough." A moment when what once strengthened you now drains your energy. The place that once brought you calm now weighs on your spirit. The people you once fought to keep now pull you away from your purpose. And when that moment arrives, it isn't confusion. It isn't loss. It is God Himself bringing an end to a chapter that has lasted far too long. You may not recognize it yet, but the ending you fear is the protection you once prayed for. God is shutting the door that has been wearing you out. And though your heart may resist it, your spirit knows it is time to release. Some of you have been clinging to things that have already expired. You've been trying to breathe life into something God has already called complete. You've been fighting battles that are no longer yours to win, watering barren ground and hoping for a harvest that will never grow. And God, in His mercy, is stepping in. He is saying, "My child, you've carried this long enough. You've wept long enough. You've tried to mend what was never yours to repair. It is time to close this story." You might see it as rejection, but it is redirection. You may feel it as a loss, but it is liberation. You may think you are breaking, but you are truly being rebuilt. When God ends a season, it is never out of cruelty. It is always out of compassion. He sees the tears that never reach your face. He hears the quiet prayers you whisper when you are alone. He knows how exhausted you are from pretending to be strong while your soul feels heavy. God knows what that season has drained from you. He knows how much effort, hope, and faith you've poured into people and things that gave nothing back. He knows how empty you felt trying to hold everyone together while no one noticed how tired you've become. The same God who removes what drains you is creating space for what will renew you. It's not to wound you. It's to restore you. Sometimes, comfort turns into captivity. You can become so familiar with pain that you start mistaking it for peace. You can grow so accustomed to chaos that stillness feels strange. You can hold on so tightly to what depletes you that you convince yourself you can't live without it. He begins to reveal. He begins to shake the very things you once thought were secure. And suddenly, what once seemed steady begins to crumble. That is when your faith has to rise. That is when you must remind your soul that when something ends under God's direction, it means it has fulfilled its purpose. You see, God never wastes a chapter. Even the painful ones carry purpose. Even the draining moments hold meaning. They build your endurance. They sharpen your discernment. They teach you how to depend on God when you can't discern His path. Don't be afraid of the ending. Embrace it as the beginning of your restoration. The story isn't over. God is just turning the page. Trust the author of your life. He knows exactly what He is doing. A new, more beautiful chapter is about to begin. Thank you for listening. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more encouragement.